Hello, everybody. It's Victor here from Trend Following Trading for Beginners, and here is again my weekly update on my sample trading portfolio. Coming up next. Hi there. Before we start, today I'm going to do a bit of rant about because I just read something about Hong Kong and the local council election. So I thought 24th of November sometime next week, but now it's today. And woke up, checking my email and check a BBC website, and here you go. Hong Kong people coming out strong and basically going for the election. And this is a good thing. I mean, what basically prompted me to rant a bit here is that, if you have heard any of the news last 6 months or so, Hong Kong's people have been, many students and pro-independent people, also pro-democracy people have been rioting. I mean, initially start off because of these bills to send, criminals back to China. Basically, all started off because there was a Hong Kong Chinese couple. They went to Taiwan, and the guy, killed the girlfriend, and basically left her there and whatever, and then went back to Hong Kong. And obviously, there's no treaty to repatriate criminals between the two countries, and that this is sort of prompted to this bill, repatriation bills or something, just basically send people back to Taiwan. But I don't know why it's been hijacked one way or another, and we're actually talking about sending people back to China. But the whole thing about sending people back to China really scared the hell out of people, because one thing. I've been Hong Kong Chinese. I live in UK now. I'm born in the 70s, so I brought up, with the under British colonial rule. One thing over there, they not even talk about much in any of the news media, is there's a deep fear of Chinese government because of the past action of the Chinese government. They have the internal struggle. They have what you call the different government factions fighting each other, the Kuomintang and the Chinese Republic, and then basically you have Taiwan and Hong Kong issues and that kind of thing, and people in Hong Kong. This is type of things I feel as well. People worry about what the China can do. Back to '97, that's what happened. Before '97, people moved away, to the UK, into US, Australia, other places, worrying that the Chinese government could come in after '97, basically. Even though they have the one country, two system rule, so to speak, they just never trust the Chinese government. So this is quite built in, is in our DNA. Ever since we were born, we always worry about China. Okay, Hong Kong people is not part of really China at the time, because it's under colonial rule. They still have that tie of the family, extended family in China, and worry about how Chinese government doing things, and they have news and stuff, sending back and forth with letters and stuff, so they know what's going on in China as well. Politically, it's not been very stable, and this make people worry a lot. And this bill basically used as a as a stick, so to speak, from my point of view, that people demonstrate and worry about, what China may do. Initially, quite peacefully, the demonstration, which I'm all for it. But then I think what have happened is over the years. Started with the yellow umbrella things that occupied Wall Street kind of thing, and gone to Hong Kong as well. I think that 2015 or something, they occupied a certain section of central Hong Kong and stayed there for a couple of months. And they was very peaceful in general, and they never even escalate to violence and stuff. People moan about after 2-3 months in general in Hong Kong, because around that street, that area where they do the sit down demonstration, people cannot trade. And it's stopping traffic going around, and because it's in central Hong Kong, basically very frustrating for loads of drivers, and businesses suffer, but not as much as what's happening now. What happens then is people felt, okay, government promised something and the whole thing sort of died down. But this time is different. I mean, this whole year, because of this fear of the Chinese repatriation bill things, and also of what happened last demonstration, mass demonstration 2015, didn't result in any much changes from the government. So people are once again on the street, but there are small factions of people, very much like British football hooliganism. Some small faction of people are just out there using this situation to pick a fight, to escalate things, and it's just not in everybody's favor. And I was very happy reading this news about the Hong Kong election and the record number of people coming out, mainly because I feel so much, even though I don't live in Hong Kong anymore, but that the sense of belonging is still there. That now is time the Hong Kong people comes out and actually do work and vote. I mean, this is one thing. It's very similar to the South Africans when they first voted on the ballot box. That people have suffered enough, and they come out to basically make their voice heard through the ballot box. And now we're not surprised at all. Those pro-democracy supporters or the councillors who try to get votes from people probably would get not very good result. This is just my honest opinion. They will always still be there, but I think a lot of people, myself included, is really fed up with those demonstrators calling violence. I mean, just look at it. Even violence in throwing petrol bombs, and there's also I mean, this is quite normal in other demonstrations from around the world. Look at the Yellow Vest in France. But what really disgusts me is that they have a lot of different views, which as any other countries demonstration, they can shout at each other, they must spit at each other. But what I do not condone is violence. What happened is, even on the news, I'm not sure in the wider world audience, like Europeans and stuff, there are people who are put on the phone actually capture this, and it's on Hong Kong. That I think it's on YouTube somewhere. That there was a guy, an old man, arguing with the young demonstrators, and they were just having an argument. Okay, one view against the other, but the young demonstrator or part of whoever it is throw some liquid onto this old man. It's about 60, 70s. And what happened? Next is somebody just lit something. Apparently those liquid are highly flammable, and the guy got burned. Burned, I mean 60, 70% of his body. Totally burned. That is out of order. That is not demonstration, normal demonstration. That's violence gone extreme. That's more like, you talk about, sorry, I am not against anyone, but it's more like going to the Middle East. That's kind of violence. People carrying, all they doesn't do is bombs. But in Hong Kong, they have found a homemade bomb as well. And that was reported in local news media. And those kind of things gone too extreme. These are not demonstration anymore, in my view. It's violence, extreme violence, and on the territory of terrorism. It's just too much. And also, I think a couple of weeks ago, demonstration as usual, demonstrator throwing stones, and other people's, and our group as well, throwing stone back and stuff. And one of those stones are being thrown from the, as far as I read, from the demonstrator actually hit an old man. And this old man was basically there cleaning things up. He's an old man cleaning things. And he got hit by a brick, and he got brain damage, and I think he passed away. And that's a couple of weeks ago. And this is the type of violence I think as a Hong Kong Chinese we don't condone. I don't care if you're from any other country. I don't think you will not condone this kind of violence. I mean, this is another thing that rounds up for me is two things. First is people talk about, say, there's no democracy in Hong Kong, and people should allow to vote for their chief executive and so forth. I think I need to set this story straight. One thing is, while I was living in Hong Kong, while I was there, I was under British colonial rule. Nobody from UK allowed Hong Kong Chinese people to vote any lower house or upper house or the council seats in the government in UK, in Hong Kong government. okay, in Hong Kong, from anybody from UK, not allowed to Hong Kong to vote for themselves. Nobody. This is something somebody called Martin is a well-known lawmaker in Hong Kong. He's been campaigning for a long time. Didn't get anywhere. I think it's near 97. Then UK say, okay, I'll give you some low government council seats to allow some test election. But remember, who are they? Those are what they are. They are low council seats. And UK is running Hong Kong as a colonial place, which means it's master-servant thinking. Master is from UK. We used to call the Queen the landlady in Hong Kong. If you ever heard of it, if you ever lived in Hong Kong, you know. And basically, like Chris Patten was the last Hong Kong governor from UK, sent over there. Basically, there's no say from Hong Kong people who UK will appoint to run Hong Kong as a governor. There's no say in that. Let alone any say about seats and council seats and so forth in the government. Nothing. They're all mostly appointed council so that. And now you turn the whole thing on its head and say, oh, you mean UK saying to Hong Kong, there's no democracy. You have to abide to your 97 Hanover Agreement. Well, let me put it this way. Asking the UK government, have they ever given Hong Kong Chinese people one man, one vote? Properly? And vote for the government seat? Nothing. I understand the system. The colonial system is the master, so I tell you what to do. And the whole system that's in Hong Kong now is basically, it's more like, set up to just run whatever the Queen or the UK government said and to do in Hong Kong. So it's more like, just robots, so to speak. Just run whatever UK government wants Hong Kong to do. That is the whole setup. And now Hong Kong people try to vote for themselves. Okay, there's influence from China, which is inevitable. But this demonstration is gone way too much. And then for the UK government say, we should, respect what the diplomacy people ask and say and things, shouldn't stop them demonstrating. I'm by all for peaceful demonstration, but violence like this, UK government shouldn't support it, and it's very hypocritical of UK government say how bad the China is running Hong Kong and not giving people a vote, the chief executive seat. UK never gave Hong Kong people a vote while they're running Hong Kong as a colonial state. Okay, for stopping that. Secondly, the American. Okay, nothing against American general public, just American government in general. We forgot. Really, just also the UK as well. Where the hell Hong Kong comes from? 2 words. Opium War. UK and France used to sell opium to weaken China. Okay? To basically, sell drugs into China to weaken the Chinese people. The Chinese people at the time, the Chinese local government at the time, tried to fight the British. They lost because they don't have as good power, so to speak, or military power, and lost. And they were sign away Hong Kong, forced to sign away Hong Kong because that's just the treaty at the time being signed. And people seem to forget where Hong Kong comes from. Hong Kong used to be a village in China, and UK took it by force. Okay? That's some history to remember. And the US didn't do fantastically in China as well, just like any other country. When they're doing, going around the world, including the Europeans, and then global up people, places, and so forth. I mean, in this case, they take slavery in the South African stuff is a big thing. But people seem to forget there's also slavery in Southeast Asia. Hong Kong is one part of them. In China, well, it was not Hong Kong, in China. I remember there's some National Geographic things in US that is on YouTube that's saying there's some sort of railway built by Chinese people who were the slavery, taken over there to build it, and then just bury it. And nobody talks about China's contribution to the railway station. This is a similar thing that they have done to the black people. Just only things different. The Chinese just like to make money, just have a stable home environment. They just don't want to go in politics or push things too far. They're just quite quiet people. They just want to live properly, and those kind of things are not talked about. And then the U.S. come over and say, we're gonna pass the bill about Hong Kong for democracy. Democracy has been violated, and pass this bill up house, low house, and now I think it's passed, and just waiting for the Donald Trump to sign it into law, so to speak, which is then viewed by the Chinese, including myself, that's going to be used as a political bullet, so to speak, for forcing China to sign any deals between U.S. and China, and that sort of things is like, hey, wait a minute. You're basically meddling in Hong Kong, or also in this case, China, internal affairs. Hong Kong is got a lot more democracy than is under British rule. Okay, it's not going to be full democracy like the British, like the US does, but there's democracy much better than under the colonial rule, under UK rule. So wait a minute, why you say it's bad? Why when Hong Kong under UK colonial rule, US didn't pass this law and say, UK should let people in Hong Kong to vote for local governments and the chief executive and so forth, while under British rule? I mean, Martini, I remember, if my memory serves me correct, under British rule, he also went to US to moan about it and ask for US support. What they have just more done last month or so, when they went to US again, and asked for support for the current demonstration in Hong Kong. What the hell the UK did and US did? US didn't pass any laws and whatever, I don't remember, to try to force UK to do something to be more helpful to the democratic cause in Hong Kong. So for that, I find this hypocrisy again. Secondly, US has been meddling with other people's affairs a lot. Don't just talk about Russia meddling in US election when Donald Trump came to power. But as a general, they seem to forget. They've been meddling, Americans have been meddling in Latin American countries' affairs for a long time. Venezuela, Chile, Peru. No, I don't read those kind of history much, but over time I read about through the news and through Google search and stuff. I mean, it's about a bit of a cheek for the American come over and just say, look, you need to do this and do that, when they go meddling other people's country all themselves, all the time. And then yet when a Russian comes over, or, I mean, there's probably something choosed in it, otherwise they won't keep on talking about it. There might be some meddling. But this is the world we live in. That's just how it is. And for American on the Hong Kong's problem, saying, you need to give them democracy. Also, the other thing I want to point out is it's not just hypothetical, but if you put the whole situation, similar situation, and put it in America, remember the Los Angeles riot, whatever, when the black person was beaten up by 5 policemen. It was on video, and those 5 policemen got prosecuted but found not guilty, and there was rioting. They were just as bad as that. In America, probably worse. Years ago, 20 odd years ago, right? And did any of those people arrested, the black people who demonstrated, got arrested? And how many people got killed over there that time? How many people got hurt that time? Tens, I think. At least more than a couple of people got killed on both sides. I mean, I don't remember police got killed. I think there's some black people got hurt really badly. And some deaths as well, if I remember correctly. And you compare that to Hong Kong. I mean, the demonstration in the rioting in America only lasted less than a month, 3-4 weeks and so forth. And everybody rallied around try to calm it down. Look at Hong Kong. As we have seen this demonstration run for the past 6 months. And still, it is not, the death is not as much as as bad as, a lot of demonstration, as in France, the US, or whatever other country, or Chile. People demonstrate one time, already 2 or 3 people are killed. That kind of stuff. So actually saying the Hong Kong police is using too much force, from a Hong Kong people point of view, who have living in other countries. And basically look at how Hong Kong policeman is reacting to the demonstrator. It's very mild. And to me, to also some of the people in Hong Kong as well, I feel like as if the Chinese Hong Kong police doesn't really want to hurt the demonstrator at all, using very minimal force. And I see on the other hand that the demonstrator try to egg the policemen, the police force in Hong Kong, to use more violence, egg them. Then hopefully that will cause enough trouble and rioting enough that to get the Chinese sending the military, like what happened in Tiananmen Square, and then tell the world, look, the Chinese government cannot be trusted. And they did this again to the demonstration. That's not going to happen. The Chinese government has been, playing a good hand and let the Hong Kong people deal with the Hong Kong policemen. So Hong Kong policemen is under tremendous stress and mistrust by the local people, democracy people. But a lot of older generation like myself, really supported them because these are the type. You remember, these are people who basically policemen working a job, coming over in front of those demonstrators, try to keep the peace. They are being pelted at by petrol bombs and stones, and they are sort of there's not enough of them, so to speak, not enough policemen in Hong Kong. And every time you see it's under reported in BBC News, but you see them, one policeman or 2 policemen getting ganged up by a group like 10, 20 angry mob and just beat the shit out of them with a stick, with metals and stuff. Someone even try to steal the guns. Let's if that happened in America, the policemen are supportive staff would just fire at all of them and probably kill quite a lot of the demonstrator. And you're telling me the Hong Kong police using too much force and not really talk about it. This is one thing about BBC and also foreign news. It's a bit bias in the talks, in the reporting. So this is just basically what, this is why I'm saying at the start, it's been around because I'm from Hong Kong myself, and I just feel that there's so much unfairness going on. Hong Kong has its problem. China has its problem. It takes time to it. It's like full democracy, but this is just transition. It takes time, and it's Hong Kong and China is going to do its things. It won't be same as Europeans or American. This is one thing that Western power need to remember. These are Chinese. They're not American. They're not European. They're not British. They have their own way of thinking, their own history. Just like American, just like the British, they will evolve in their own way. Just like China telling everybody eat noodles, that's not right. Or American just tell everybody eat McDonald's and hamburgers and fries. That's not right either. It's a respect of each other. You like to eat whatever food you want, you select, you choose. You don't force it down people's throat. Same thing for food as for the way of thinking or how to govern people or the government, how this should be run. It should be up to each individual country and its own people how they should do things. Not just everything democracy is right, or like a king and queen rule, kind of top-down ruling is right. Every country gone through their own history and stuff. It takes some time to settle it down. So I just basically take this opportunity to rant a little bit, because what happened here is it have direct contribution, consequences to the Hong Kong index trading, because if this election comes out well, in the sense that the pro-democracy councils got squashed, or those people standing for those seats got squashed, and then the pro-Beijing government or pro-Hong Kong government people get voted in, then I think the Hong Kong index, people will just use that as an excuse to move the index up a lot more than it is now. That's just my view. So I'm just really watching, because directly in about 2 weeks' time, I'm going to vote for the UK general election myself, about 3 weeks. And again, that has consequences to to the FTSE index as well as the British pounds against US currency or euro or against the Japanese yen. So this one really have to just wait and see what happens, and I will basically strongly see people will find there's probably quite a bit of movement over the next week or so in Hong Kong index. So watch out. Okay. Okay. This is the end of my rant for now. Thank you for listening to all this stuff. But basically, watch out the Hong Kong index on that one. The next bit is obviously also there's news in about generally Trump impeachment hearings and stuff, and also now the Chinese government apparently, there's some news coming out from the US saying Chinese government are not ready to sign the first phase of the trade deal, phase one of the phase of the trade deal. So the market, the US market, have been running up for the past months or 6 weeks or 2 months or so on the hope of China and US signing the first trade deal. It's not materializing, and it even talked that the Chinese not going to sign in December, and the American government might not delay the extra tariffs that Trump has been threatening to put on. So I don't know what's going to happen early December, or I think December 15 or something. So I mean, next 3-4 weeks, there's a lot of things going on. About 3 weeks, you have the Hong Kong election. Next coming up is the UK elections, and then after that is the tariffs, I think on the 15th December. So it's a lot that's going on in the market. And obviously the other thing I spotted as well, I'm not quite sure about you guys before I go into each of the trade, is that I've been moaning about the Amazon and McDonald's share price has been going sideways and coming below in the bear territory as far as I'm concerned, below the 50 days and 200 days moving averages. And as far as I'm concerned, my long-term system say that's bearish. I just sell those. But if you look at the US indexes, let's say Dow Jones and NASDAQ and stuff, they're up all-time high. So the market's doing something totally different. I mean, the market think everything is going well, but below the economy, McDonald's sells burgers, of course, and chips around the world, not just the UK. And that's sort of showing you, they're not doing well in general. Is it? I don't know, but just let's wait and see the numbers coming up. But the share market is telling us there's something going on. And Amazon obviously have just started on Friday, the Black Friday sales, when UK, I think apply to the US as well. And to all intents and purposes, I was looking to buy some monitors and computers for my children, and also antivirus and stuff goes along with it. The deal is okay, but the deals haven't gone down much as I would hope for. So I'm not quite sure how great this Black Friday sales going to help Amazon. I don't know. Amazon is the first one to come out with the Black Friday sales online first, and others coming in, I think, at the end of November. So if Amazon is anything indicating to me anyway, just my personal opinion, I feel the Black Friday sales nothing, none of the fantastic offering around. I just don't feel it's going to be fantastic. So if that comes out, let's say early, I don't know, not December, but let's say in January sometime, with the figures of the Black Friday sale, the Thanksgiving sales, the Christmas sales all coming down in line, just normal, not fantastic, first small growth or hardly any growth kind of thing. I think Amazon shares going down. Because like the expectation of it go up and up, it's not going to be there. So that's just my view, but something that I just found also very rather odd. And also, if you look at the index, US index is going up, right? And the silver and gold supposed to go down and tank, but it didn't. The only thing I see tanking, which is not in my list of in the sample share, which I'm going to put in today, is Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been down. I mean, lots of people say it will go back up 20,000, 30,000, 50,000. And only a couple of people say it may go down to 5 or 3,000 kind of thing. I mean, that seems to be what's the consensus out there. Most people are very bullish on Bitcoin. But from the charting point of view, it's very bearish for me. Short term, medium term, not yet, but long term as well. And I'm going to include that in my sample trade today, and which I'll go through in a minute. But that is the big thing for the past week as well. And so let's go back to what my basically the updates is. So Apple in general is still going up, surprisingly, even though I said before the Chinese and the US haven't signed anything yet. But I think last week, Wednesday or something, President Donald Trump have go and visit the Mac, Apple Mac factory where they produce the Mac. It turns out well. We'll see how it goes. But one thing for certain, if they go to move those Mac back to US to manufacture, or any manufacturing going back to US, they have much higher unit cost, so to speak, like the workers' cost as well as rules and regulations and so forth. Then they actually ship it out to China or somewhere in Asia and do it and ship it back. So I would say the Apples going forward, even if they continue to make haze in the sun, it will. I mean, the bottom line probably get increased pressure. The profit not as good because it just costs more to produce anything back in US. That's across the board, applied across the board, not just Apple, but any other company who moved the production back to US because they got minimum wage just like how UK does, and that basically pushes up the price, so to speak. Okay, the unit cost, right? That's just my view. So next is obviously Amazon has been sell in short term and long term, but neutral in the medium term. And I already said something about it. So let's see how it goes with the Black Friday sales, and then we continue. And Australia dollars against US dollars. Continue. Short term is a sell. Medium term is neutral. Long term is a sell. Crude oil. And Brent crude and US crude, both of them basically short term is a buy, medium term is neutral. But long term wise, for the US crude, both the crude oil in general has been quite volatile and doing sideways. Try to break back above the 50-day, 200-day moving average. The 200 days moving average, and basically try to be more bearish, bullish, but it's not doing that. Now, also with the Saudi Arabia selling out the oil, putting on the stock market. I can't remember the name of the company, it's Aramco or something. And basically the initially for international sales, but now it's only released for local people buying. So there's not much mood for those trades. Not a bit like Alibaba, everybody wants some around the world. So this one I thought, being an oil company, one of the biggest oil reserve in the world in Saudi Arabia, I thought it would go down really well and be sold all around the world, but it's not really, apparently not going too well, and only selling locally in Saudi Arabia time. So oil is not moving up too much, but the US crude has tried to move up a bit. So for the time being, it looks like there's a difference between the Brent crude and US crude. So the long term, the US crude, I think WTI is what they call it, is up, so it's a buy. But for Brent crude, it's neutral. So the situation can change, but that's what happened over this week. Next is DAX, and continuing just like Dow Jones, it's just up all the way. So short, medium, long term is up. So it's Dow Jones. I say again, it's up all the way as well. So the long term, short term, medium term, even though US hasn't signed any trade deal with China yet. For the Dow Jones, that's up. For the FTSE, short term is changed to sell now. It's quite volatile. It's just basically sideways, up and down all the time, and neutral to medium term, and then basically also neutral in the short term. But it sort of given a signal already. But my signal for long term is basically have to be two days above 50 days or below 50 days moving average, both 50 and 200-day moving averages. So it's just 1 day. And at the moment, so it's not doing too bad, but according to my rule, it's still a neutral state at this moment. So watch this space. It's just volatile in general with FTSE. Next is gold. Continue to be sell. Short term, medium to long term is neutral. Hang Seng Index, short term is a buy, and medium term is neutral, and the price has been very volatile lately, and long term is continue to be a sell. So like I said at the start of this podcast, let's see what happens with the election, and this might move things this week. So watch out the Hang Seng Index. Next is Nasdaq is going up, just like before with Dow Jones and DAX. So it's buy across the board, medium, short term, and long term. Nikkei, that's a slightly different now. This one seems to lead the pack in Asia and around the world with the indexes moving up, and giving short term a sell now. It's been like that for the last couple of days, and medium term and long term still a buy. So this might be a signal. This could be a signal. So watch out the Nikkei, and that also have a impact. I mean, relationship with the Japanese yen, which I'll talk about next. Next is we'll talk about later. Next is silver, very similar to gold. It's just basically a sell short term, neutral, and long term is neutral for short term and long term. Okay, so sell for short term. The USD against the Chinese yuan. Short term has been buy. Okay, just like before, it's continuing to be buy, and long term is neutral. Short term is a sell. So looks like the trade deal is this. Hopefully happens, but if it doesn't, well, what happens most likely is if it doesn't happen, this is just my point of view. The Chinese government, which has been popping up the Chinese yuan for a long time against the US dollars, so that stop American calling it manipulating the currency, even though it is manipulating, because if a country, any country, has a weak economy, the currency should go down, right? Across the board, especially across US dollar. But it actually moved back up for the last 2 months or so to be went above the one US dollar to 7 yuan level. It used to be before all these trade talks and stuff used to be above the $7 mark, $7 yuan mark. But now I think the Chinese government is just not going to pop it up anymore. Just let it flow. So the general market condition comes in, general market economy, and being the Chinese economy is not doing as great as before. In the 5 or 6%, still better than a lot of countries. I think most countries, but it's for Chinese term is slowing down. So people will buy less and so forth. So economy is coming down. The currency probably go down as well. So I would basically say against US dollars, that means that you probably get more Chinese yuan for the US bucks, so to speak. So in that sense, I think short term, definitely this short term view of a buy is going to continue and might become a long term buy as well. So just watch this space. Next is the British pounds against Japanese yen. For short term is a buy. It used to be all buy across the board, short, medium term, and long term. But for this week, the short term and long term is a buy. And because of the yen's movement quite a lot, the medium term has become neutral. So now long term and short term are buy, but neutral for short term for British pounds against the Japanese yen. Next is the British pound against the USD, still across the board a buy. And the other things which I talked about earlier on is including Bitcoin into this list of my sample trade. Now, this is just my view. I have been trading that using the S2 system, turtle system, as well as long-term, short-term system myself. And I make a little bit of money out of that. But people consensus seem to think out there, I don't know why people just keep on thinking it will be a bull market going up, so much more, because they keep on thinking if the market crash, the index crash in US, then it probably pop up the Bitcoin. But remember, trading in different market, if you use trend following system, each market has its own thinking, has its own way, has its own type of people trading. We're trading market psychology. It might not necessarily go down like or on the way that you think, or go up on the way you think. So people think in general, the US index is tanking. That means the Bitcoin is going up. Might not happen. So the charts, from the chart point of view, Bitcoin is in a bear territory. Short term and as well as the long term. Medium term is still neutral. The medium term is using the turtle trading system 2, which is in Michael Covell big turtle trader book, which you can read all about. But that's what I'm using. And so basically it's just quite I mean, from the market point of view, there's not a lot of changes involved in this sample trade, but there's a lot of news coming up. So the next 2 to 3 weeks, I mean, this from this week onwards, for the next 3 weeks, watch out. There's a lot of things going on, and obviously I just recap on those things like, okay, Hong Kong is doing a local election today, so watch out on Hong Kong index. The UK is going on to the poll on the 12th of December, so about 3 weeks time. And obviously around that time, America is going to decide if they're going to put extra tariffs on the Chinese imports, or that's something else. And then fourthly is, I think around similar time as well, the Fed, US Fed, go to keep the rate as it is, or giving it down, going down, continue, or what, I don't know. So all this is going to come up while we're having the US having Thanksgiving, having the Black Friday sales going on, and Thanksgiving coming up, and Christmas coming up, and the elections are a couple of major countries. So basically, just watch and wait and see. So I hope you like this podcast today. Sorry, a bit too long, but I just want to get something off my chest a bit, about Hong Kong situation. But hopefully, you get my draft. I mean, I just hope Hong Kong election go well today. No more violence. Everybody happy. Just go democracy, safe and sound, and go for a vote and see how it goes on Monday. And I think tonight UK time they probably know the result already. So let's see how it opens on Monday. It's gonna be fun. So watch out, people from Asia or anybody who trade the Asia market. Watch out, and speak to you guys next week. Bye.